The Silent Knight's Quest. Chapter 1. The Whispering Forest. Once upon a time, in a kingdom far, far away, there was a land filled with lush green forests, rolling hills, and tranquil rivers. This land, known as Eldoria, was home to many brave knights, but none as enigmatic as Sir Aemon. Sir Aemon, the Silent Knight, was known throughout the kingdom not for his battles or his victories, but for his vow of silence. He had not spoken a word since the day he became a knight, communicating only through his actions and the occasional nod of his head. Sir Aemon's silence was a mystery to all. Some believed it was a vow taken to honor a fallen comrade. Others thought it was a penance for a past mistake. Whatever the reason, his silence only added to the aura of mystique that surrounded him. The people of Eldoria had grown accustomed to Sir Aemon's quiet presence. Children would watch in awe as he rode through the village streets, his armor gleaming in the sunlight. Merchants would nod respectfully as he passed, and even the most hardened warriors would stand a little straighter in his presence. There was something about Sir Aemon's silent demeanor that commanded respect and admiration. One evening, as the sun began to set and cast a golden hue over the castle of Eldoria, Sir Aemon received a summons from King Alaric. The king, a wise and just ruler, had heard disturbing rumors from the far corners of his kingdom. It was said that a dark force had taken residence in the Whispering Forest, a place that had once been known for its serene beauty and enchanting wildlife. The king's face was etched with worry as he spoke to Sir Aemon. "My silent knight," he began, his voice heavy with concern, "I need your help. The Whispering Forest is no longer a place of peace. Darkness has fallen upon it, and my people are afraid. I need you to venture into the forest, uncover the source of this darkness, and restore peace to Eldoria." Sir Aemon nodded solemnly, accepting the king's request. His eyes, deep and thoughtful, conveyed his understanding of the gravity of the situation. Without a word, he turned and left the throne room, his footsteps echoing in the silent halls. As he made his way to the stables, Sir Aemon's mind was filled with thoughts of the task ahead. The Whispering Forest had always been a place of wonder and mystery, its ancient trees holding secrets as old as time itself. He had visited the forest many times in his youth, marveling at its beauty and tranquility. The thought of it being corrupted by darkness filled him with a deep sense of sadness and determination. In the stables, he found his trusted steed, a noble white stallion named Aegis. The horse nickered softly as Sir Aemon approached, sensing the importance of the moment. Sir Aemon gently stroked Aegis's mane, a silent communication passing between knight and steed. With practiced ease, he saddled the horse and mounted, ready to embark on his quest. As they rode out of the castle gates, the setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple. The villagers stopped to watch as Sir Aemon passed, whispers of curiosity and concern following in his wake. Many had heard the rumors of the darkness in the Whispering Forest, and seeing their silent knight riding towards it filled them with both hope and fear. The journey to the edge of the Whispering Forest took several hours. As they traveled, Sir Aemon observed the changes in the landscape. The lush fields and cheerful farmlands gradually gave way to more somber scenery. The trees became denser, their branches reaching out like gnarled fingers. The air grew cooler, and a thin mist began to swirl around Aegis's hooves. As they approached the edge of the Whispering Forest, the trees seemed to loom larger, their branches intertwining like skeletal fingers, casting long, eerie shadows on the ground. The once vibrant forest now seemed shrouded in a perpetual twilight, the air thick with an unsettling silence. Sir Amon paused at the forest's edge, taking a moment to observe the scene before him. The entrance to the forest, once welcoming and bright, now appeared foreboding. The usual sounds of birds and small animals were conspicuously absent, replaced by an eerie stillness that seemed to press in from all sides. Drawing a deep breath, Sir Amon urged Aegis forward. As they passed beneath the first trees, it felt as if they were crossing a threshold into another world. The mist thickened, swirling around them in ghostly tendrils. The trees seemed to close in behind them, as if sealing off their retreat. Yet, Sir Amon pressed on, his resolve unwavering. Whatever darkness had taken hold of the whispering forest, he was determined to face it and restore the peace that had once reigned in this magical place. Chapter 2. The Enchanted Glade. As Sir Amon delved deeper into the forest, he noticed that the usual sounds of nature were absent. There were no chirping birds, no rustling leaves, and no chattering animals. The only sound was the soft thud of Aegis's hooves on the forest floor. The deeper he went, the thicker the mist became, swirling around him like ghostly wraiths. The path through the forest was treacherous. Roots seemed to rise up from the ground, threatening to trip Aegis at every step. Low-hanging branches reached out like claws, forcing Sir Amon to duck and weave as they rode. Despite the challenges, he pressed on, guided by an inner sense of direction and purpose. As they journeyed deeper into the heart of the forest, Sir Amon began to notice subtle changes in their surroundings. The oppressive darkness seemed to lift slightly, and a faint, ethereal glow began to permeate the mist. The air, which had been heavy and stagnant, now carried a hint of sweetness, like the scent of blooming flowers. After hours of riding, Sir Amon came upon a glade bathed in an ethereal glow. The mist parted as if by magic, revealing a scene of breathtaking beauty. In the center of the glade stood an ancient oak tree, its branches stretching towards the sky like outstretched arms. The tree radiated a soft, golden light, its bark shimmering with an inner luminescence. At its base lay a small, crystal-clear pond, its surface as smooth as a mirror. Despite the beauty of the glade, there was an underlying sense of sorrow that seemed to emanate from the very ground. The golden light of the tree seemed to flicker and waver, as if struggling against an unseen force. The flowers that dotted the glade, while beautiful, had a wilted appearance, their colors muted and subdued. Sir Amon dismounted, patting Aegis reassuringly as he did so. The horse seemed uneasy, pawing at the ground and snorting softly. Sir Amon took a moment to scan the glade, his hand resting lightly on the hilt of his sword. Sensing no immediate danger, he approached the pond. As he knelt to take a closer look, the water began to ripple, small waves spreading out from the center in perfect concentric circles. An image began to form on its surface, shimmering and indistinct at first, but gradually solidifying into a clear picture. It was the face of a beautiful woman, her features ethereal and timeless. Her eyes, a deep, mesmerizing green, were filled with sadness and desperation. When she spoke, her voice echoed in the silence of the glade, soft yet clear as a bell. "Brave knight," she said, her voice tinged with both hope and sorrow, "I am Alara, the guardian of the whispering forest. Long ago, this place was a sanctuary of peace and harmony. But a dark sorcerer named Malachar has taken over the forest, spreading fear and despair. He has bound me to this pond, and I can do nothing to stop him. Please, Sir Amon, You must defeat Malachar and free me from this curse." Sir Amon's heart ached at the sight of Alara's sorrow. Though he could not speak, his resolve was clear in his eyes. He nodded firmly, his hand tightening on his sword hilt. Alara's eyes softened at his silent promise, a glimmer of hope shining through her despair. "Thank you, Sir Amon," she continued, her voice growing stronger. "Malachar resides in the shadowed grove, deep within the forest. Be careful, for he is powerful and cunning. His dark magic has corrupted much of the forest, turning once friendly creatures into fearsome beasts. The path ahead will be fraught with danger." As she spoke, the water of the pond began to glow, a soft blue light emanating from its depths. "Take this," Ilara said, as a shimmering sword materialized from the water, rising slowly until it hovered just above the surface. "It is the Sword of Light, an ancient weapon forged by the first guardians of the forest. It will guide you and protect you on your journey." Sir Amon reached out, grasping the hilt of the Sword of Light. As his fingers closed around it, he felt a surge of warmth and power course through him. The sword glowed brightly for a moment, as if recognizing its new wielder, before settling into a soft, constant radiance. "The Sword of Light will help you navigate the darkest parts of the forest," Ilara explained. "It will cut through Malachar's illusions and protect you from his dark magic. But remember, Sir Amon, the true power lies not in the sword, but in the heart of the one who wields it. Your courage, your compassion, and your unwavering spirit are your greatest strengths." Sir Amon nodded solemnly, understanding the weight of the responsibility he now bore. He raised the Sword of Light, its glow illuminating the glade and pushing back the encroaching shadows. In that moment, he made a silent vow to restore peace to the whispering forest and free Ilara from her curse. "Go now, brave knight," Ilara said, her image beginning to fade. "The fate of the whispering forest rests in your hands. May the light guide your path and protect you from the darkness that lies ahead." With a final nod to Ilara, Sir Amon turned and mounted Aegis once more. The horse seemed to stand taller now, invigorated by the presence of the Sword of Light. Together, knight and steed set off towards the heart of the forest, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead in their quest to defeat Malachar and restore peace to the Whispering Forest. As they left the enchanted glade, the mist closed in around them once more. But now, the soft glow of the Sword of Light cut through the darkness, lighting their way forward. Sir Amon's heart was filled with determination, his silent resolve echoing louder than any battle cry. Chapter 3. The Trials of the Forest. The journey to the Shadowed Grove was fraught with danger. As Sir Amon and Aegis ventured deeper into the forest, the corruption wrought by Malachar's dark magic became increasingly apparent. The trees, once proud and strong, were now twisted and gnarled, their branches reaching out like claws, trying to ensnare the brave knight. Strange creatures, born of dark magic, lurked in the shadows. Their eyes gleamed with malevolence, watching Sir Amon's every move. But the silent knight was undeterred, his grip on the Sword of Light firm, its glow cutting through the darkness and keeping the creatures at bay. As they traveled, Sir Amon encountered the first of many trials. The path ahead suddenly disappeared, giving way to a deep chasm that stretched as far as the eye could see in both directions. It was too wide to jump and too steep to climb down. The only way across was a narrow, rickety bridge that swayed precariously with every gust of wind. Sir Amon dismounted, knowing that crossing the bridge would be too dangerous for both him and Aegis together. He stroked the horse's mane reassuringly, silently communicating his plan. Aegis nickered softly in understanding, stomping his hoof as if to say, "Be careful." Taking a deep breath, Sir Aemon stepped onto the bridge. The wood creaked ominously beneath his feet, and he could feel the structure swaying with each step. Halfway across, a fierce wind began to blow, making the bridge sway violently. Sir Aemon tightened his grip on the ropes, his muscles straining as he fought to keep his balance. With gritted teeth and unwavering determination, he pressed on. Step by careful step, he made his way across the chasm. As he reached the other side, he heard a loud crack. Turning quickly, he saw the bridge beginning to collapse. Without hesitation, he raised the sword of light, its glow intensifying. To his amazement, a beam of light shot out from the sword, creating a shimmering bridge of pure energy. Aegis, sensing the urgency of the moment, galloped across the light bridge just as the last of the wooden structure fell away. As soon as the horse's hooves touched solid ground, the light bridge disappeared. Sir Aemon patted Aegis gratefully, silently thanking both his loyal steed and the magical sword for their trust and power. Pressing on, they soon came upon their next challenge. The path led them into a clearing filled with a dense, almost impenetrable fog. Sir Aemon could barely see a foot in front of him, but he pressed on, trusting the sword of light to guide him. The fog was thick and suffocating, and strange whispers seemed to echo all around. It was as if the forest itself was trying to disorient and confuse him. As they moved deeper into the fog, Sir Aemon began to see shapes moving in the mist. At first, they were indistinct, mere shadows flitting at the edge of his vision. But as they drew closer, they began to take form. To his shock, Sir Aemon found himself facing spectral images of people from his past. There was his father, looking stern and disappointed. "You failed us all," the apparition said, its voice echoing eerily in the fog. Next came the image of a fellow knight, fallen in battle. "Why didn't you save me?" it accused. More and more figures appeared, each one voicing Sir Aemon's deepest fears and regrets. For a moment, Sir Aemon faltered, the weight of these accusations pressing down on him. But then he remembered Alara's words about the power of the Sword of Light. Raising the sword high, he focused on the truth in his heart. He had always strived to do what was right, to protect those who needed him. These apparitions were nothing but illusions, manifestations of Malakar's dark magic. As this realization washed over him, the sword of light blazed brightly, its radiance cutting through the fog and dispelling the ghostly accusers. The mist receded, revealing the true path once more. Sir Aemon nodded to himself, understanding that he had just faced and overcome one of Malakar's most insidious traps. With renewed determination, Sir Aemon and Aegis pressed on. The trials of the forest had tested not just his physical strength, but his mental and emotional fortitude as well. Yet with each challenge overcome, Sir Aemon's resolve only grew stronger. As they continued their journey, the forest around them grew darker and more twisted. The very air seemed to thicken, heavy with the weight of dark magic. Sir Aemon knew they must be nearing their destination. Finally, after what seemed like hours, the oppressive darkness began to lift slightly. The twisted trees parted, revealing a sinister clearing ahead. Sir Aemon had reached the edge of the shadowed grove, Malakar's domain. The air here was thick with dark magic, and the trees were grotesquely twisted, their branches forming a canopy that blocked out all natural light. In the center of the grove stood a towering black oak, its bark as dark as night and its roots snaking across the ground like serpents. The tree pulsed with an evil energy, clearly the source of the corruption that had spread throughout the forest. Sir Aemon tightened his grip on the Sword of Light, its glow seeming to intensify in response to the surrounding darkness. He knew that the final battle was at hand. Whatever challenges he had faced up to this point were merely a prelude to the confrontation that awaited him in the Shadowed Grove. Chapter 4: The Battle with Malachar. As Sir Aemon and Aegis entered the Shadowed Grove, the air grew thick and oppressive. The darkness seemed to press in from all sides, held at bay only by the gentle glow of the Sword of Light. At the base of the towering black oak, surrounded by a circle of glowing runes, stood Malachar. The dark sorcerer was an imposing figure, tall and gaunt, with skin as pale as moonlight. His eyes burned with an unnatural light, seeming to pierce through the gloom. He wore a robe of deep crimson, adorned with intricate symbols that pulsed with dark energy. In his hand, he clutched a staff topped with a gleaming black crystal, which seemed to absorb the very light around it. Malachar's lips curled into a cruel smile as he saw Sir Aemon approach. "So," he said, his voice a low, menacing hiss, "the Silent Knight has come to challenge me. Tell me, Sir Aemon, do you really think you can defeat me? You, who cannot even speak. What hope do you have against my power?" Sir Aemon's only response was to dismount from Aegis and draw the Sword of Light. As he did so, its radiant glow illuminated the dark grove, causing Malachar to flinch and step back. For a moment, uncertainty flickered across the sorcerer's face, but he quickly regained his composure. "Ah, the Sword of Light," Malachar sneered, "a relic of a bygone age. Do you think that trinket can save you? Let me show you true power." With a wave of his staff, Malachar summoned a horde of shadowy creatures. They rose from the ground like smoke, their eyes glowing with a sinister red light. They surrounded Sir Aemon, circling and snarling, waiting for their master's command. The battle that followed was fierce and relentless. Sir Aemon fought with all his might, the Sword of Light cleaving through the shadowy creatures with ease. Each swing of his blade sent arcs of pure light cutting through the air, dispelling the dark magic that gave the creatures form. But for every creature he defeated, two more seemed to take its place. The horde was endless, a seething mass of darkness that threatened to overwhelm him. All the while, Malachar stood at the center of the chaos, chanting dark incantations and sending bolts of crackling dark energy towards Sir Aemon. The Silent Knight was a whirlwind of motion, his sword flashing as he parried, dodged, and counterattacked. His armor bore the scorch marks of Malachar's dark magic, but still he fought on. The Sword of Light seemed to sing in his hands, its glow intensifying with each blow struck against the forces of darkness. As the battle raged on, Sir Aemon began to notice something. With each creature he defeated, with each spell he deflected, Malachar's attacks grew more frantic, less controlled. The sorcerer's face, once smug and confident, now showed signs of strain and worry. Seizing upon this realization, Sir Aemon pressed his advantage. He began to fight smarter, not just harder. Instead of trying to defeat every shadow creature, he focused on creating a path towards Malachar. The Sword of Light blazed in his hands, cutting through the dark magic like a beacon of hope. Malachar, sensing the shift in the battle, redoubled his efforts. He poured more and more of his power into his attacks, the black crystal atop his staff pulsing with malevolent energy. The air crackled with the clash of light and dark magic, the very fabric of reality seeming to warp around them. Despite the overwhelming odds, Sir Aemon refused to give up. He fought with a determination born of a deep sense of duty and justice. Each step brought him closer to Malachar, the light of his sword pushing back the darkness. Finally, with a mighty leap, Sir Aemon broke through the last line of shadow creatures. He stood before Malachar, the sword of light raised high. The sorcerer's eyes widened in shock and fear, his staff raised in a desperate attempt to ward off the attack. With a final, decisive swing, Sir Aemon struck. The sword of light cleaved through Malachar's staff, shattering the black crystal. A blinding flash erupted from the point of impact, followed by a shockwave of pure light that swept through the entire grove. Malachar screamed as the light engulfed him, his form dissolving into a cloud of dark smoke. The shadowy creatures vanished, and the dark magic that had tainted the forest began to dissipate. The black oak, once a conduit for Malachar's evil, crumbled to ash. As the light faded, Sir Aemon found himself standing alone in the grove. The oppressive darkness was gone, replaced by a soft, natural twilight. The twisted trees began to straighten, their leaves turning from sickly black to healthy green. The shadowed grove was transforming before his eyes, returning to its natural state. Exhausted but victorious, Sir Aemon leaned on the sword of light, its glow now soft and comforting. He had done it. He had defeated Malachar and freed the whispering forest from his dark influence. But his quest was not yet complete. There was still one more task to be done. With a weary but determined stride, Sir Aemon made his way out of the grove, ready to return to the enchanted glade and free Alara from her curse. Chapter 5. The Return of Peace. The journey back through the forest was markedly different from Sir Aemon's initial trek. Where once there had been darkness and danger, now there was light and renewed life. The trees stood tall and proud, their leaves rustling in a gentle breeze. Birds began to return, their songs filling the air with joyous melodies. As Sir Aemon walked, he could feel the forest healing around him. Flowers bloomed in his wake, and small animals scurried across his path, no longer afraid. The sword of light in his hand glowed softly, as if satisfied with the role it had played in restoring balance to the whispering forest. When Sir Aemon finally reached the enchanted glade, he was struck by the transformation. The mist that had shrouded the area was gone, replaced by clear, crisp air. The ancient oak tree at the center of the glade stood taller than ever, its golden light now brilliant and unwavering. As he approached the pond, its waters began to ripple of their own accord. But this time, instead of just an image on the surface, Alara herself emerged from the water. Her form was solid and radiant, no longer bound by Malachar's curse. She stepped onto the shore, her feet barely touching the ground, a smile of pure joy lighting up her face. "Thank you, brave knight," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "You have freed me and restored peace to the whispering forest. Your courage and determination have saved us all." Sir Aemon bowed his head in acknowledgement, a sense of relief and satisfaction washing over him. Though he could not speak, his actions had spoken louder than any words ever could. He had fulfilled his duty and brought light back to a place that had been shrouded in darkness. Alara approached Sir Aemon, her movements graceful and ethereal. "Your silent strength has accomplished what no amount of boasting or bravado could," she said softly. "You have reminded us all that true heroism lies not in grand speeches or displays of power, but in unwavering resolve and selfless action." As a token of her gratitude, Alara waved her hand, and a golden amulet materialized in the air between them. It was a beautiful piece, intricately crafted with symbols of the forest etched into its surface. At its center was a small crystal that seemed to capture the essence of the whispering forest itself. This amulet is a symbol of your bravery and the light you have brought to our forest, Ilara explained as she placed it around Sir Amon's neck. It will serve as a reminder of your deeds and a connection to the whispering forest. Should you ever need our aid, you need only touch this amulet and think of us. Sir Amon touched the amulet, feeling a warm pulse of energy emanate from it. He nodded his thanks, his eyes conveying the depth of his gratitude and respect. Alara then turned her attention to Aegis, who had been standing patiently nearby. She approached the noble steed and placed her hand gently on his mane. Aegis bowed his head, sensing the profound connection between the knight and the guardian of the forest. "And you, loyal Aegis," Alara said, her voice filled with warmth, "your bravery and steadfastness have not gone unnoticed. May you always run with the wind at your back and find safe paths wherever your journeys take you." As she spoke, a soft glow enveloped Aegis briefly, a blessing from the forest itself. With the amulet around his neck and the sword of light at his side, Sir Amon mounted Aegis, ready to return to the castle and report his success to King Alaric. But before he could depart, Alara had one last thing to say. "Remember, Sir Amon," she said, her voice carrying on the breeze, "the greatest battles are often fought in silence, and the most profound truths are often unspoken. Your quiet strength will always be welcome in the whispering forest." With a final nod of farewell, Sir Amon urged Aegis forward. As they rode away from the glade, he could hear the forest come alive around him. The trees seemed to bow as he passed, their leaves whispering thanks. Animals appeared at the edge of the path, watching the silent night with grateful eyes. As they emerged from the forest, Sir Amon and Aegis were greeted by an unexpected sight. A crowd of villagers had gathered at the forest's edge, their faces filled with hope and curiosity. Word of Sir Amon's quest had spread, and they had come to see if the rumors of the forest's healing were true. When they saw Sir Amon emerge, his armor battle-worn but his bearing proud and strong, a cheer went up from the crowd. They had known him as the Silent Knight, but now they hailed him as their hero. Children ran alongside Aegis, laughing and waving, while adults reached out to touch Sir Amon's armor, as if to assure themselves that he was real and that the nightmare was truly over. Sir Amon acknowledged their cheers with nods and gentle waves, his heart full at the sight of their joy and relief. As he rode towards the castle, the crowd followed, their celebration growing with each step. The tale of the Silent Knight and his victory over the dark sorcerer Malachar was already spreading, growing in the telling. By the time Sir Amon reached the castle gates, it seemed as if the entire kingdom had turned out to welcome him home. King Alaric himself stood at the top of the steps, his face beaming with pride and gratitude. As Sir Amon dismounted and knelt before his king, a hush fell over the crowd. They waited, wondering if perhaps now, in this moment of triumph, the Silent Knight would finally speak. But Sir Amon remained true to his vow. He simply bowed his head, offering the Sword of Light to his king as a symbol of his completed quest. King Alaric smiled, understanding the profound eloquence of Sir Amon's silence. He raised the knight to his feet and addressed the crowd. "People of Eldoria," he proclaimed, his voice ringing out across the courtyard, "behold your hero, Sir Amon, the Silent Knight. who with unwavering courage and steadfast resolve has vanquished the darkness that threatened our land. Let his deeds be remembered for all time, and let his silence remind us that true heroism needs no words. The crowd erupted in cheers once more, their jubilation echoing off the castle walls. As the celebration continued around him, Sir Aemon stood tall, the weight of his quest lifting from his shoulders. He had fulfilled his duty and protected his kingdom, but more importantly, he had proven that even in silence, one could be a powerful force for good. Chapter 6: A Hero's Rest. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the castle courtyard, the celebration slowly wound down. The villagers returned to their homes, their hearts light and their spirits high. The tale of Sir Aemon's victory would be told around firesides for generations to come. King Alaric, seeing the weariness in Sir Aemon's eyes, placed a hand on the knight's shoulder. "You have done a great deed, Sir Aemon," the king said, his voice filled with pride and gratitude. "You have restored peace to Eldoria and brought hope back to our people. For that, you have my eternal gratitude. Now, brave knight, take your rest. You have more than earned it." Sir Aemon bowed deeply, accepting the king's words with humble grace. As he turned to leave, he felt a tug on his cloak. Looking down, he saw a small girl, her eyes wide with admiration. She held out a simple wildflower, offering it to the silent knight with a shy smile. Sir Aemon knelt down, gently accepting the flower with a nod of thanks. The girl beamed, then scampered back to her waiting parents. This small gesture, so full of innocence and gratitude, touched Sir Aemon deeply. It reminded him of why he had taken his vow of silence in the first place: to listen, to observe, to understand the world and the people around him in a way that went beyond words. As Sir Aemon made his way to his chambers, he passed by the castle's great hall. The sounds of continued celebration drifted through the doors: laughter, music, and the retelling of his adventures. But Sir Aemon sought only the peace and quiet of his own room. Entering his chambers, Sir Aemon began to remove his armor piece by piece. Each dent and scratch told a story of the battles he had fought, the challenges he had overcome. He treated each piece with care and reverence, acknowledging the protection it had provided him. Finally, clad in simple clothing, Sir Aemon sat on the edge of his bed. He held the golden amulet Alara had given him, running his fingers over its intricate designs. As he did so, he could almost hear the whisper of the forest, feel the pulse of life that now flowed freely through the land once more. He placed the amulet carefully on his bedside table, next to the wildflower the little girl had given him. These simple objects, more than any grand trophy or ornate reward, represented the true value of his quest: the trust of the innocent, the gratitude of the forest, the hope he had restored to the kingdom. As the last rays of sunlight faded from his window, Sir Aemon lay down, the weight of his journey finally settling over him. He closed his eyes, his mind drifting back over the events of the past days. He saw again the twisted trees of the corrupted forest, felt the surge of power as he wielded the sword of light, heard the defeat in Malakar's final scream. But these images soon faded, replaced by gentler visions. The smile on Alara's face as she emerged from the pond, free at last. The joyous songs of birds returning to the healed forest. The cheering faces of the villagers as he rode out of the whispering forest. The proud, grateful eyes of King Alaric. As Sir Aemon drifted off to sleep, a sense of peace washed over him. He had made a difference. He had brought light to a world shrouded in darkness. and he had done it all without uttering a single word, proving that actions truly do speak louder than words. In the years that followed, the tale of Sir Aymon, the Silent Knight, became legend. Songs were sung and stories were told of his bravery and his unwavering resolve. Children played at being the Silent Knight, facing imaginary sorcerers with wooden swords. Poets composed verses praising his quiet strength, and artists created tapestries depicting his epic battle in the shadowed grove. And through it all, Sir Aymon remained true to his vow of silence. He continued to serve the kingdom with steadfast dedication, his actions speaking volumes. He became a symbol of quiet strength, a reminder that heroism often lies in the simplest of deeds, in the courage to stand against darkness, in the willingness to act when action is needed. The Whispering Forest, once a place of fear and darkness, became a sanctuary once more. Ilara, freed from her curse, watched over the forest with renewed vigor. The creatures of the wood thrived, and the trees grew tall and strong. Travelers would speak in hushed tones of the peace they felt when passing through, of the sense of ancient magic and timeless wisdom that permeated the air. And so, in the land of Eldoria, peace reigned once more. The Whispering Forest returned to its former glory, a place of beauty and tranquility. The memory of Sir Aymon lived on, a beacon of light in the hearts of all who knew his story, and a reminder that true bravery often lies in the quietest of hearts. Epilogue: The Dream of the Silent Night. As Sir Aymon slept, he dreamt of the Whispering Forest, now filled with the laughter of children and the songs of birds. In his dream, he walked through sun-dappled glades, the trees parting to let him pass, their leaves whispering words of gratitude. He came upon the enchanted glade, now even more radiant than before. The ancient oak tree stood tall and proud, its branches swaying gently in a warm breeze. The pond was crystal clear, reflecting the beauty of the forest around it. As Sir Aymon knelt by the water, he saw his own reflection, not as the Silent Knight, but as a man who had found his true voice through his actions. Ilara appeared beside him, her presence as gentle as a morning mist. "Welcome, Sir Aymon," she said, her voice like the soft rustling of leaves. "Even in your dreams, you return to the forest you saved." Sir Aymon nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. In this dream world, he felt no need to maintain his vow of silence. "The forest calls to me," he said, his voice rough from disuse but filled with warmth. "It reminds me of the peace we fought so hard to protect." Ilara smiled, her eyes twinkling like stars. "And that peace endures thanks to you. Look around you, Sir Aymon. See what your courage has wrought." As if in response to her words, the dream shifted. Sir Aymon found himself floating above the forest, watching as seasons passed in the blink of an eye. He saw saplings grow into mighty trees, watched as animals flourished and multiplied. He saw travelers pass through the forest, their faces filled with wonder and peace. The scene shifted again, and he was back in the castle of Eldoria. He watched as King Alaric ruled wisely and justly, inspired by Sir Aymon's quiet strength. He saw young knights training in the courtyard, aspiring to live up to the example set by the Silent Knight. "Your legacy lives on," Ilara's voice whispered on the wind. "In every act of kindness, in every moment of quiet courage, in every battle fought not with swords, but with compassion and understanding." The dream began to fade, the images growing softer, blurring at the edges. Sir Aymon felt himself sinking deeper into sleep, a profound sense of peace settling over him. As he drifted in this space between dreaming and waking, he heard Alara's voice one last time. Rest now, brave knight. The forest is safe, the kingdom is at peace, and your silent vigil has earned you this moment of tranquility. Sir Amon's consciousness ebbed like a tide retreating from the shore. His mind was filled with gentle images, the swaying of trees in a summer breeze, the soft glow of fireflies on a warm evening, the gentle lapping of water against the shore of a placid lake. In this peaceful realm between sleep and waking, Sir Amon felt a deep contentment. He had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. He had brought light to a world shrouded in shadow, and he had done it all in silence, proving that the most profound truths often need no words at all. As sleep fully claimed him, Sir Amon's last thoughts were of the whispering forest, of the people he had protected, of the peace he had helped to restore. His breathing deepened, his body relaxed, and he sank into a deep, restful slumber. And there, in the quiet of the night, the silent night found his rest. The moon cast a soft glow through his chamber window, bathing the room in gentle silver light. Outside, a light breeze rustled the leaves of the trees, carrying with it the faint, soothing whispers of the forest he had saved. In the years to come, many would tell the tale of Sir Amon, the Silent Knight. They would speak of his bravery, his unwavering resolve, and the peace he had brought to the land. But perhaps the greatest tribute to his legacy was the quiet strength he had inspired in others, the reminder that sometimes the most powerful acts are those done in silence. And so, as the stars wheeled overhead and the world slept, the legend of the Silent Knight lived on, a lullaby of courage and compassion, whispering through the dreams of all those who heard his tale. The end.